Blade Runner 2049 is a long-awaited sequel to the 80s film Blade Runner, and depending on who you ask, it might be the greatest film of all time, might be one of the worst movies of all time, one of the most boring movies of all time, but you can't deny how damn impressive it looked, especially for the time. Blade Runner set the bar for gritty cyberpunk worlds like Deus Ex, Ghost in the Shell, even The Matrix. I have seen the original Blade Runner, the final cut, whatever the Ridley Scott final one was. But spoilers for that one, but not for this new one, so be ready. So basically, in case you have no idea what Blade Runner is or don't know anything about the world of Blade Runner, let me just explain it a little bit. In the not-too-distant future, companies make these artificial humans called replicants to basically do all the grunt work they don't want to do, like mining, prostitution, a bunch of odd jobs that, aren't good enough for us. Pretty much the equivalent of slave labor. That's in the first one, though. The role of replicants has definitely changed over the course of the 30 years in between Blade Runner 1 and the timeline of Blade Runner 2049. Sometimes, however, they go rogue, and it's up to Blade Runners to stop them and retire them, is what they call it. It was Harrison Ford in the first one, and now it's Ryan Gosling in 2049. But Ryan Gosling's character, Officer K, discovers something that Harrison Ford's Deckard left behind, and this will definitely shift the balance between replicants and humans. So this movie becomes about pulling the thread and unraveling the mysteries of the past and the future. So it's a lot more of a mystery as opposed to the first Blade Runner, which was very much, you have to do this, Harrison Ford, and this is what's going to happen. The first one was just a classic film noir in an amazing sci-fi setting, so I appreciate this is not like the same story over again, just to reboot it for modern audiences. Force Awakens. I'm sorry. Bad cough. The movie's visually gorgeous, so many standout sequences, like a really weird sex scene where a holograph is superimposed over a prostitute. Ryan Gosling is really good in the movie. I'm sure there's already been a ton of jokes about how he's playing the same character like Drive, the silent, brooding type. There are a lot of subtleties in the performance, and he does have a few heartbreaking scenes. Harrison Ford is back as Deckard, and it's nice to see him kind of give a crap. He's very gruff and bitter, like the usual old man Harrison Ford type character, but there's reasoning behind it in this movie, and you do see the humanity shine through, like in the original Blade Runner. So a big deal with the first Blade Runner was whether or not Deckard himself was a replicant, or whether he's human, and I love that this movie avoided the answer completely. Like, maybe he is, maybe he's not. It really doesn't matter to the story like it does in the first. So, screw you, Ridley Scott, and the horse you rode in on. Deckard's not a damn replicant. You go finger Michael Fassbender's flute. I'm firmly on the Deckard is human side, but I'll probably explain that in a future Blade Runner review that I'll never do. Everybody else is great in the movie. Anna de Armas as Ryan Gosling's girlfriend, Robin Wright as his kind of rapey police chief boss, Sylvia Hoeks as the badass replicant assistant to Jared Leto's CEO character. But her character is missing so much development that was necessary for me to care about her. Jared Leto was okay in a role that he needlessly blinded himself for. This was going to be Jared Leto's thing from now on, to get too into these roles that don't really require all this work. The character didn't even act blind. He acted like he could see everything. His character was interesting though, and I wish there was more of him, or he was played by somebody better. I love the look of the movie and the cinematography by Roger Deakins. Every shot looks like it could be a painting. The score was good too. It had a little too much of the Hans Zimmer wham. That's been in every trailer since inception. Thematically, I think this movie is a little less interesting than the first Blade Runner. The thing with this movie that had me hooked in was, are we born with a soul, or do we are able to gain a soul? Does it matter? Do we even have free will? Are these things implanted in us from birth? Well, the memory implants was in the first one too. And there's a strong central underlying theme about love and how it relates to each main character, whether it be about sacrifice, about pain, a means to an end, or whether or not it's even real to some characters. It's a pretty deep and multi-layered movie that I'll probably get more out of when I see it 50 more times. Though I do think the themes of the first one are a tiny bit stronger, like Deckard being less human than the people he's hunting, the artificial people. Also, the villain's goal is just to live. In most movies, that wouldn't even be the villain. They want to live life to the fullest, but all Deckard does with his human life is just drink himself to death. Nothing quite reaches the heights of the Tears in the Rain monologue from Blade Runner 1. So, underdeveloped villains and a little long in the tooth, and that's all the negative things I have to say about this movie, because it's amazing. It's by far the best looking movie I've seen all year. It has great acting, great camera work, great cinematography, great design, builds on certain things from Blade Runner 1, and then offers up its own new things, which is what a sequel should do. do. I'm probably not selling this movie enough. It's easily one of the best of the year. It might be my favorite of the year. I think on further viewings, I'll appreciate the world even more and be able to look at the themes a little more deeper. I've read a bunch of theories and I want to go into this movie to get a new, fresh perspective on certain stuff. So definitely see it, but I think you should only see it if you've seen and enjoyed the first movie. Though I don't know, maybe you can go into this movie blind and still enjoy it. You'll be a little lost on the Deckard character and why you should give a shit about him. Bye.